Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Talking About the Big Stuff podcast with Michael Cole and Matthew Cravat. I'm Michael Cole.
And I would be Matthew Cravat.
Yeah, you left me hanging there for a second. All right, we have a guest today, and I'll just go ahead and introduce Saba Ahmad. I didn't realize I
Ahmad,
said your last name out loud before. What is it?
Ahmad, but the Arabic people say Ahmad.
Okay, yeah, I'm not
Okay,
going to be able
Saba
to.
Ahmad, we're good.
We will tonight's topic is we're going to go back to conspiracy theories because we kind of talked about it a little bit was it 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, something like that.
Something
And
like that.
we that wasn't the intended topic for that night. It just ended up being the topic we
Yeah.
rambled onto, but tonight we're going to
We
talk
started with
about.
religion, and conspiracy theory just was the natural next thing we talked about.
Yeah. So the reason why I wanted Saba on the show is that Saba and I work together, and we've been talking about conspiracy theories for like a month or so, driving our other coworkers nuts talking about them. Because one day we were having this conversation at lunch, and it came up about conspiracy theories, and I said, "Have you heard the theory about the birds?" And we just immediately connected on the fact that we both had heard about the birds being fake.
Birds aren't real.
And then Saba was hilarious trying to convince someone at work that that is a
They don't
true.
exist.
Yeah.
Never seen a baby pigeon before.
Never
Also,
seen a baby pigeon.
watched the Black Mirror episode about the government bees.
Yes. So that is actually where I wanted to go with this, is so the baby pigeon part, not the Black Mirror part. I want to talk about our what we think is not necessarily good evidence, but the most compelling or interesting evidence about some of our favorite conspiracy theories. So like we're not going to try to convince people that's
Yeah,
of it, but we're going to just kind of talk about like you said, the baby pigeon thing is, I think, not a good argument, but it is an awesome, hilarious argument.
yeah.
So
I would say, as a skeptic, that is categorized as lack of evidence is not evidence. So saying I've never seen a baby pigeon is not evidence that there are no baby pigeons.
oh, okay,
Yeah.
all
But
right,
it's a
so
darn funny argument, though.
yeah, but okay, so Saba, do you, other than that one, do you have any other that you want to like bring up right off the bat?
Yeah, about how the moon landing was fake.
Yeah, what's your best piece of evidence for that?
Um, Maybe the fact that the flag moves in the air, but apparently there's no atmosphere or air that it should be able to move in.
Yeah. I've seen some debunking conspiracy theories on the moon landing, and I remember a bunch of the parts, and you picked the one that I don't remember how it was
Yeah.
debunked.
Well, because it doesn't move because of air, or it doesn't move. It's. I mean, there's gravity on the moon. So if it was just a loose flag, it would be just laying, flat against the pole. It wouldn't be out. It's on a wire to look like it's flapping in the wind. Otherwise, it wouldn't. You wouldn't be able to
Okay.
see the flag because there is gravity. It would just be hanging down. There's no wind to hold it up. So it's not a cloth flag. It's it's a metal flag, or it's on a frame or something, and to look that way. And then the video is choppy because it's 1960s video.
Okay, I got another one for you. If the spacecraft, like, all of the parts start flying off once it goes into space, how do they make it back?
But the parts that fly off are the first and second stage boosters that get past Earth gravity. You don't need those to get out of moon gravity.
So where did it land once it came back to Earth?
In the ocean, we have video of that. Helicopters go out there and pick the people up. That's on video. I once found a video on YouTube that was this whole video about how if you look in the reflection of the glass of Neil Armstrong's mask, you can see proof positive that it was faked. And then as you watch the video, the camera gets closer and closer and closer, and then it switches to Rick Astley, and it Rick rolls you. Um, and I posted it to Facebook with a thing saying, "I can't believe that this conspiracy was actually true. This evidence is incontrovertible. And a friend of mine went on this tirade at my Facebook page saying, "You're just another college-educated idiot. I can't believe you believe this bullshit." He just goes on and on me. And then I was like, "Chuck, you obviously did not watch the video. You haven't addressed the proof at all." And he goes, "Well, I will." And the next post, "I'm sorry, Matthew. You're 100% right. It's obviously faked. I can't believe this has changed my life."
Yeah, there uh a couple, like, this isn't a real conspiracy theory, but it is kind of why, another reason why I thought like Saba would be great to bring on the show is last week we were talking, was it last week or 2 weeks ago, with the vaginaless woman.
Oh yeah, I think that was last week, but it
Yeah.
might have been 2 weeks ago, like later in the week.
Yeah. So we were talking at work, and this story, I forget, there was something else before that was a conspiracy theory, and then Saba tells us about this woman who didn't have a vagina, who got pregnant because she had given oral sex and then was stabbed, and the sperm like went on the knife into her uterus. And and uh, and we were like, no, that's absolutely not true. We were all being like, and then she
Hmm.
pulls up, she was so dedicated that she went and found the story. It appears to be true based on, like, I think it was ABC News.
It
Like,
was. They
it
didn't believe
was,
my Reddit article at first. The Reddit article said some other stuff in
yeah,
there, but the ABC
well,
News one was legit.
and
Yeah.
Reddit's not like a good source unless they quote their own sources. So, but it was
I
it was
used
just
to read.
funny.
I used to read a lot of weird but true stories when I was young. There were, remember, Scholastic books you can get at school,
I
and
do.
Yeah,
I had I had one that had strange but true war stories, and one was about a woman who got pregnant in the Civil War because a man got shot. The buck shot, or the bullet, back then it was just like, a piece of round metal, went through his testicles, got semen on it, and then hit a woman, and she got pregnant from that. And it was, I don't know if it was true, but it was in the weird but true stories. And it's the same kind of thing. If one of those things works, the other one can work just as easily.
yeah. I'd be a little more skeptical of that one because it's the Civil War. It's hard. I would imagine it's harder to have good records of that. But the one that Saba found was from 1988. So the kid that was
Practically the
born,
same thing. That's the same time period.
uh, yeah. But then there was enough pieces that, and even like a doctor was saying, like, this is entirely possible that this could happen. It's kind of like walking out your front door with a winning lottery ticket the night that it wins, the super jackpot, and getting struck by lightning. It's not gonna happen, but it could happen, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And but
Well, what's interesting is, like, when you play like the odds of something happening game, right? It's only a super super long shot if you predict it first. Like, the fact that
true.
this can happen, it's like, oh, it makes perfect sense that this would happen one time in history, or even two times in history, because it could
Yeah.
happen. And then the fact that it did happen is not a surprise. It would be a surprise if there was, the day before she said, "I better get stabbed tomorrow and get pregnant." Like, that would make it a really long shot.
Yeah, it's true. That's a good point. But that's I just when we had that conversation, I was like, oh, you know what, like, it would be really fun to have Saba on. And I will say, I do want to say before we go on, real quick though, Saba, you are our first guest since Matthew started co-hosting. So we are, if this is a little clunky as far as the 3-person conversation, like,
It's Mike's fault.
No,
it's always my fault.
it's all good. I'm still trying to think of other conspiracies though.
So,
Yeah.
did you
Like
guys know that
I have
Finland is not real?
You told me this on that other episode, and just so you know, I think that's the episode that you listened to, right, Saba? Because I had Saba
is
listen
that
to
the
an
Adam
episode.
and Eve one? I didn't finish it,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
but
Um.
I did get into the conspiracy part.
Yeah.
So I will not rehash the fact, but so you can listen later. But Finland is not real. Finland is a ploy created by the Japanese and the um, Russians, so the Japanese could fish off of Russia and then transport the fish across Russia. That's the reason the Trans-Siberian Highway exists, is to um, transport Japanese fish, and they give a cut of the fish to the Russians.
Yeah.
People who think they live in Finland live either in Sweden or Russia, and they've just been lied to, and they think they're in Sweden. They think they're in Finland, but they're not. They're in one of those other countries. 100% factual.
Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
I'll go next on the piece of evidence for it's flat Earth. And so I obviously don't think flat Earth is real. Although it is interesting. So Sarah and I used to joke about how much we thought the flat Earth thing was crazy, and I don't know if you guys know this, but like in 2017 or 18, the flat Earth, the either U.S. or worldwide flat Earth conference was in Cary.
Yeah, well, I
So
know. I was there. I
did
was
you
not.
go to it?
No, I
Really?
was. I wasn't in the conference itself, but I
You're
was at a
fired
meetup.
from the podcast.
I was at a meetup. I was at a meetup group that we meet monthly at the Rally Point Sports Grill, across the street from SAS on Harrison. And the convention was at the, I don't know if it's Embassy Suite or Comfort Suite, whatever it is. That's right. I think it's Embassy Suite. That's right behind there. That's where the conference was. So we went to our normal meetup, and we were told we couldn't have our room because our private room because it was already filled with people. And we were 100% sure they were from that conference. Like, there's no reason that our room would be full one time ever, and it was the time of their conference. We
That's
Nice.
wanted we wanted to go buy those globe beach balls and like go and like see if we can sell them.
Yeah, I like the what is the meme? It's a somebody screenshotted a Facebook comment where it says the flat Earth
Members from around the globe.
has members from around the globe, and then the person commented, "Read that back real quick."
so the United Nations logo is literally the flat Earth with like little feather things around it. Why would the United Nations have the flat Earth with like Antarctica being a little ice wall around? So I don't know if
Well,
you guys heard of the other part of the flat Earth theory, the outer Earth. So apparently Antarctica is like an ice wall. That's why you can't go to every parts of Antarctica. You can mostly go with like
where
scientific
the
groups and stuff.
you can
Like
only
there's
go
certain
where the UN will let you because the UN
exactly
patrols the ice wall. Yeah.
exactly. And
I
then
actually would love to go to the outer Earth because this Earth I'm not liking so much sometimes.
apparently Atlantis is out there too.
Nice. If you get a chance, and this is a little bit of a spoiler for this movie, but you should check out Strange World on the Disney movie. And I won't say anything more than that because that is in itself a little bit of a spoiler. But
Wait, has it came out yet?
yeah, it came out in November.
Okay.
I got very, very intoxicated and went and saw that movie. I got very intoxicated and went to see Strange World with Sarah and Logan. And the two of them, I don't think gave a shit about the movie. They just passed out, and I was like, "This is so cool!" Like, because the graphics were crazy, and like the concepts were, really bizarre, and it was a good time. But my favorite flat Earth evidence, or I wouldn't say favorite. I have two. My favorite and what I think is to some degree the most compelling, which is a really low bar, just so we know. There are two separate ones, but my lowest, my most compelling piece of evidence, you mentioned it today at work, Saba, is the fact that we don't really have I believe that they've said we don't have a full image of the Earth that's undoctored from space. Like everything we have is composite. I'm not saying it's compelling. I'm saying it's
That's
the
because
most
it's a
compelling.
sphere, and the only way you'd be able to do that is composite.
No, but they're saying that makes way more sense. I was
Yeah.
I was assuming that like every satellite that was taking those pictures wasn't far out enough, and so they were that's what
I
I
mean,
thought they were doing.
there's the famous pale blue dot photo that I think Cassini
Oh,
took
okay.
as a past Saturn that shows the whole Earth from a distance. But yeah, the reason you see it because you see these things like lit up, like all the countries lit up, and the only way to do that is to do a composite. The picture
Gotcha.
would only one little area would be lit up if it was just one shot, and you wouldn't appreciate the
Sh-
photo.
Should we consider changing the name of the podcast to Mike Cole is a bad skeptic and Matthew Pravat fixes everything he says? I feel
Actually,
like we
that's
did that 2 weeks ago too. Like,
yeah. So So what I really like is the flip argument, piece of evidence, or no, not evidence, but fact about the flat Earth, of course, fact. Um, Antarctica is an ice wall patrolled by the UN, as we established factually. We know that.
Yeah.
But the Arctic is just like a frozen area in the center of the disk that is, the flat Earth, and that's the entrance to the hollow Earth. So if you can get far enough into the Arctic, you can go into the caves where the
I
subterranean.
forgot there were so many layers of the earth.
Yeah, I forgot about. And I didn't realize they could all work together because there's also Donut Earth, which I don't know if that works with the other theories,
Oh, it
but
does. I mean, because you can go down the donut hole for a while, and then like there's like caves in the side of the cliff kind of thing
okay.
of the donut wall. Yeah. Yeah. What's really great is um, at flat Earth and similar conventions, they can't call each other out on bullshit because they all have the same no evidence to prove what they're saying and bad assumptions.
Yeah.
So for them to prove someone else wrong kind of proves them wrong. So they all accept everything. Anything that's brought up, they're like, well, yeah, that like even when they have a different theory for what the earth is shaped like, they still have to accept the other person's theory as being valid and possible because
Did you guys know that apparently, so I don't know if you guys learned this in school, but we learned it was like the crust, the mantle, the outer core, the inner core, and then the little ball core thing. Since it's not actually proven, that's actually still a theory, by the way.
You and I have already had this conversation. So Matthew, I'm going to let you field this one.
No, I got nothing to say about it. I don't know enough geology to know if
Okay.
that's just commonly accepted because of all the observable evidence we have supports that, and so that's what we believe it is with a high certainty. I mean, I'm sure we haven't proven it. We haven't taken a core all the way to the thing. The question is, what's the level of certainty that geologists have based on all the evidence they can collect?
I saw a documentary where Hilary Swank went down to
All the
the
way yeah,
core.
and there was Hollow Earth, right? She went through the Hollow Earth to get
Did
there.
she? Yeah, I forgot about that part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who
So
went
my
core?
Hilary Swank is a movie from like 2003 or 4. She's an
Oh.
actress.
My kung fu is strong.
It was like it was the Earth's core had stopped spinning and the Earth was either overheating or
Was it
underheating or
Stanley Tucci?
something.
Was it Stanley Tucci's invention that broke it? Was that the same movie?
I don't
I think it was.
remember.
I think it was
You
Stanley Tucci broke it.
the fact that Hilary Swank, did I say Hilary Swank or Hilary Duff? It's
Swank.
Hilary Swank because Hilary
Yeah.
Duff would have
Swank.
been like 12 when that movie came out, so
She's always
she
12.
wasn't the one. She's not 12 now. She's 35. She's quite attractive. And but what was I starting to say? Oh, I don't know. So my that was my most compelling argument for flat Earth was that composite thing, which obviously not that compelling. My favorite argument. So I watched a video. I watched like a half-hour video on because I was curious as to why people believed it. So I watched a video of a guy like I will convince you or whatever, and it was a long video and I don't remember much from it, but I remember at one point they take like one of those sponge balls and they fill it with water and then they spin it and the water flies off. And they're like, if the Earth is a sphere and it's spinning, why isn't the ocean flying off? And I was like, that's the dumbest shit I've ever heard. And then the second part, the second part, which is actually my favorite thing that came up in it, was they were talking about if the Earth is spinning, or if the Earth is flying through space at what is there? It's like 35,000 miles an hour or something like that. Like the Earth is spinning, or sorry, flying around the sun at about 35. Well, I'm going to throw that number out there. That is could be complete bullshit. I don't remember the exact number, but so 35,000 miles an hour. The Earth is going up that fast, and then he goes, well, if that even without the spinning, if that was happening, he goes, why wouldn't the water be showing like why would the water be pulling back to one side of the planet? And I was like, has this guy never been like in a car or on an
Throwing a
airplane
ball in the air.
with a cup, like with just a cup of like
Yeah.
you could be on an airplane and your cup of water is sitting pretty damn still, and he just didn't understand that concept. I'm like, this is the most provable, like some of it, like we can't all just get in a rocket and prove, again, and shoot up there and find out that it's not, but like everybody can go get in the car and just
Yeah.
like sit like
Like,
something. I mean,
or
yeah, there's bumps in the
fly.
road, or not everybody can fly, but still, like everybody has some access to the ability to move with a cup that like isn't going to just
Right.
fly out of the cup. You know, the water isn't going to fly out of the cup,
Right, like
and
when you're
that
a
was my
kid and
favorite.
two siblings in the backseat of a car throwing a ball back and forth to each other. The ball didn't shoot to the back of the car when you throw it to each other. You're all
Yeah,
moving together.
yeah.
Um, did you guys know the Mandela effect, right? It's not really a conspiracy, but I know like some really good ones. If you guys have you heard the Febreze one? How many
No,
Easter
I don't know
eggs?
the Febreze one.
You've told me, but you go ahead. Good. We're not strictly into one topic on this podcast. It starts off with a topic and then we just kind of go where we're going to go. So like Mandela effect works fine. And Mandela effect is is a real thing. Like that's I think it's pretty provably real. So like I have no problem
Yeah,
talking about this.
yeah, it's very provably real that people have really bad memories and think things are
So you know
wrong,
why?
and then they
You
think they
know
were
why?
right.
This may be another conspiracy, but um, it's because they're from a different dimension where it was like that.
Right. Yeah,
That
well,
is
no, it's not from a different direction. It's that the time shift. Yeah, time. The dimensions overlap every once in a while, and our history keeps changing, and so people remember the old history when the new history happens. Yeah. Except, or it's also like if you show people current logos for things and say which one's right, the one on the left or the one on the right, people get it wrong all the time. And you show them a logo that's 10 years old and they swear they were right the first time. My
Well, I
favorite.
mean, Fruit of the Loom. Do you guys remember that
Hmm.
logo?
vaguely.
What did it look?
I don't have mental images, so a lot of this
Oh, yeah, that's
Mandela
not good for
effect
you.
shit is worse for
Oh
me than it is for the average person.
yeah. I still can remember the logos and stuff though. Like I know that the Fruit of the Loom thing had, you know, that little basket. It has a name for it.
People think there's a cornucopia in the Fruit of
Yeah,
the
that.
Loom. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
And
swear it had one. Like holding all the fruit. Like there wasn't just fruit.
yeah. One
Yeah.
of the characters I think was leaves. So I think there were leaves around it. I think, because
I'm looking it up right now. That's
there were
the problem
leaves
with
and the
them.
leaves were brown, so it can easily give you the impression of a cornucopia.
Oh yeah, it does kind of look like. I think you're right, Matthew, that it's the brown leaves that look like a cornucopia.
Sometimes they're brown, sometimes they're green, but yeah, there's leaves. Yep.
Saba.
Oh, the leaves are usually not brown. They're supposed to
Uh,
be green.
yeah, I've seen them
This
both ways, but the
is
character
what he's
in the
talking
commercial was
about.
definitely
Wait, hold
brown.
up. Like
When I was a kid, the commercial characters was done both ways. I remember there was a green one and a brown one.
like
Oh, here we go. Oh, Logopedia.
look, do you
Yeah,
see that?
right. But I think every place, if you look at that, it probably says Mandela effect version. Like it's probably listed as this is what people think it is in the Mandela effect. If you find the old, I mean, the idea that Mandela effect is that it's unfalsifiable because
You know
the
what's
whole idea is that if you go back and look at an old YouTube video,
This
you'll see the one that you don't remember and swear that the video is wrong.
the cornucopia was introduced on April 1st, 2022.
April
It's
1st, you believe that? April 1st?
it, that's what I mean. Is it's
no, I remember that from being a child.
no, it's the Mandela effect, and they were playing on the Mandela
Yeah,
effect for a
they did it as an April
marketing
1st. Yeah.
April Fool's joke.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
But I'll say there are if you right now, if you play, find a website for has compare the logos, say which logo's right and which logo's wrong for current things, you get half of them wrong because we don't remember those details and we just make it up what we think we remember.
No, there's no way. But everyone collectively remembers it. Like there's like
Not
articles on
everyone. I
my
don't
phone.
remember it.
There's it's things that are commonly remembered incorrectly.
Okay. Does Kit Kat have a dash in the middle?
I don't know.
I have no idea.
I'm not the right person for this game. I don't know because you could like show me something and I'd be like I don't know whether if
I don't
that's what it
think
looked
it
like
does,
or
but I'm not sure. But that's the thing is, if you don't think if you're not sure, like I'm not sure, and I don't think it does, I'm going to picture it without, and that's going to become set in my head that without is the right way because that's what I pictured. If you think it
Matthew.
does, you're going to picture it with, and that's going to
You,
become the right way.
You're just showing
Yeah,
off now,
but
picturing this and picturing
I'm
that.
sorry.
Fucking
Sorry.
dickhead.
If I remember
That's the end of the
making,
podcast.
if I remember, I meant if I remember making notes about how a candy bar looked one time. Is that
Yeah.
better?
Yeah.
did you guys know what the Mandela effect was based on?
Nelson Mandela.
Mm-hmm.
People thought he
People,
was dead for a long time, and then
Yep.
he has been dead for a little bit now.
he
It's
has,
probably close to 10
yeah.
years.
When he
But
came
people
out
thought
of
he was dead
prison,
in the
people
90s. Yeah.
people thought he died in prison, and then he was released from prison and became president of South Africa, and they were like, "But I thought he was dead."
Or the Tupac theory.
Oh
The
yeah.
the Tupac theory, the Elvis theory. Though actually, that's funny because it's like the opposite of the Mandela effect, and those are conspiracy theories. So
Yeah. Okay. How about this? Let's flip the conspiracy
Tupac
theory.
has some good evidence, or it's not evidence, but good arguments. I don't remember them all, but when I was like 19, I used to read on some old school websites. The HTML was hardcore old, but they would talk about all the different things about Tupac. So like in one of his songs, he mentions Biggie's death, but Biggie died 6 months after he did, and like that was an awesome conspiracy theory.
Like,
Like
did he actually mention, or did he mention like a death, and people said that means Biggie? Like I don't know the
no, they
songs well enough to
quoted
know.
the lyric, which was like I forget how it's been a long time. I mean,
Yeah,
when I was like 19, that was half my life ago. Saba, stop.
Damn.
that was yesterday night.
What is that?
Damn.
Like,
uh, Saba makes fun of me for being old all the time. At work
he
because she
literally
was
gets my age wrong every time though. Like he makes me 1 year younger on purpose, I swear.
no, you're 23,
Yeah,
right?
now you got it right.
Yeah. Well, when I sent
Oh,
you
you're
the
you're
email,
you're you're older than one of my three children.
yeah, she also so Saba's the first coworker that I've had that was born after I started high school. Because when I was setting her up with stuff at work, she had her Gmail entered in, and she came in the first day. I was like, "Is this the day you were born?" And she's like, "Yes." And I was like, "Oh, I started high school 2 months before that." So
Yeah, but I was still a 90s baby.
yeah, by a
At
month
least
and a
it's
half.
not like 2000 and
Yeah,
like
That,
there's
that's
more.
that's my youngest. My kids are 97, 98, and 2002.
nice. My kid is 2016 and yet to be determined. We'll see if I have another kid. Hopefully. Um,
So how
Yeah.
about this? Let's say tomorrow morning, when you turn on the news, I'm sorry, when you boot up your newscaster device on your phone, um, there's an announcement that so and so celebrity who we thought was dead faked his death or her death and is still alive, just been revealed. What celebrity would it not surprise you?
well, I think Tupac, honestly, because there's a good amount there. He released so much fucking music after he died.
Or
I want to
someone
say,
did.
so, well, I mean, he has a pretty distinctive voice. I think.
I mean, somebody released his music after he
Oh
died.
yeah,
Like he
yeah, yeah, yeah.
wasn't a
I
corpse.
think Tupac would be the least surprising for me. Also, like unlike people talk about Elvis and like yeah, Elvis could be alive still. He wouldn't be that old, but he'd be in his late 80s. So like it was possible like
Wait,
if
how
these
old would
conspiracies
Tupac be?
Tupac would have been 50 last year.
Younger than me. He'd be younger than me.
Yeah. So like the idea that if Tupac hadn't been shot, he'd probably be alive right now. So like whereas Elvis if he hadn't died of drug overdose could very well have died of cancer or something. Like he's
Old.
I think he's a year younger than my grandfather. So he'd be 88 this year, Elvis. So like there's a decent chance he'd have been dead either way. So that would be more surprising
Especially
than
fighting
Tupac.
mummies and zombies and vampires and stuff.
Yeah. What about you, Saba? Who's your unsurprising or your least surprising celebrity fake?
Um, I don't know. Juice World.
Juice World?
He
Yeah.
has been
He's
releasing a
like
lot.
he'd be like your age, right? He's not that old. He
I
died at like
think
19 or 20,
so.
right?
Yeah, he was very young.
This is a rapper, Matthew.
Thank you so much. I'm like,
He was,
we did like an amusement park close, and I don't know about it.
Yeah.
Juice WRLD was born December 2nd, 1998, so he's literally like 1 year older than me.
Yeah. Nice. And what about you, Matthew?
Okay, so Saba, you never heard of this person, and Michael, you probably did because you're a comedian, or you're a comedy junkie. Like you
Yeah.
wouldn't have, like other people your age probably haven't, but you're a comedy junkie, so you have Andy Kaufman.
Oh yeah. That's a good one. I want to
Yeah,
rescind my answer.
yeah. So Andy Kaufman was a comedian. He was on the show Taxi, played Latka. He
My
was
favorite movie of all time is the movie about his life, which is
Man on
called
the
Man
Moon.
on the Moon.
Yeah, which is based on an REM song about him.
Hmm.
Yeah, so he was known for elaborate practical jokes. Like
Yeah.
he used to dress in a fat suit and a bad tux and tons of makeup and go on stage as a bad comedian named Tony Clifton and
Hmm.
pretend he wasn't himself. He
Bad
even
comedian slash lounge singer.
lounge lizard, yeah, like a lounge lizard comedian. That doesn't mean anything to you either, but still. And then he would, even when he was doing the TV show Taxi, he showed up on set as that character in costume with prostitutes looking for Andy because they were
Legit
supposed to party
prostitutes
together. Yeah,
too.
legit. He hired prostitutes to come in with him, and none of the cast knew it was him. And then when it got out to the comedians that who it was, and the comedians started knowing it, he and his partner trained his partner to do the voice and do the routine, and he wore the suit. And he went up on stage, and while he was doing the routine, Andy came into the comedy club and sat in the back with the comedians, and they were like, "Wait, how are you here? You're on stage." And
Yeah.
he was like, "No, that's
He,
Tony's on stage. What are you talking about?"
he was kind of like Borat, only less political, just like trying to
Yeah,
like he'd stay in character like that and
he would just do insanely
yeah.
strange things. Like he showed up on Saturday Night Live once to do a comedy routine, and his routine was he played a record album of the theme song of Mighty Mouse, and then whenever it came to the part where it said "Here I come to save the day," he did a quick lip sync of "Here I come to save the day," and then just stood there for a minute until it came back
Looking
around again,
nervous, looking like
looking
he was
nervous.
having stage
Like,
fright.
when is he going to jump in? Like he didn't know when he was going to jump in, and
Yeah.
in one of his stand-up shows in New York City, at the end of the show, he rented a school bus and he loaded the entire audience onto the school bus, took them to a nearby elementary school that he had rented, and had milk and cookies in the cafeteria for all the audience of his show.
So Matthew, in the movie there's the old lady that like has the heart attack and then he brings out the like he acts like a shaman and like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
revives her.
Boogie 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 boogie.
Do you know who the actor was that played the real her in real life when they did that on stage?
I do not.
There's a male actor. In the movie it was like they actually hired an old lady, but in the real life version it was Robin Williams dressed up as an old
Of
lady
course
and
it
he
was.
pretended to die and then they did like a thing like they put like a napkin over her face and then there's like doing this in front of the face and then she like sits up and like she's been revived by you know him chanting some shit
Yeah.
at her.
So, and he ended up dying of very aggressive cancer, and he supposedly, I have no reason to actually doubt this part, like went to like South America where they did like, like shaman things to try to help him. He did like psychic surgery because he had like pancreatic or something like where there was no chance he was going to survive and medically. And so he
And
did
he
every
yeah,
alternative medicine he could. So like it kind of felt like he was doing a gag as he's like, talking about these alternative medicines he's doing.
yeah. That's a good one. He died 3 months before I was born. So I would like to think that he was still alive and that he could. At this point, though, if he's still alive, he's not coming back out into. He's not going to
I
really
mean,
like.
he'd be under 80. I mean, like he could like be revealed like now that he's old
Yeah.
and gonna die, like he could come out and say, you know, here
He
I
went to the
am.
same high school as my
Mm.
mother-in-law,
Yeah.
and they like grew up like blocks apart, and they're only like 3 or 4 months apart in age. Um,
Yeah. He
and
died
so
my junior year of high school to make me that much older than you.
yeah,
That's crazy. I
So
feel like I
go
can't
ahead.
remember my other conspiracies. Let me see. Have you guys? Okay, so when I used to watch these Shane Dawson conspiracy theory videos. Have you guys ever seen them?
I've heard of him. I don't think I've seen the videos.
So this was back in like middle school when I used to actually watch YouTube videos. Um, I used to watch his conspiracy theories, and it would be like something about your iPhone, like watching you and the Twin Towers, and stuff like that. And he would like go really deep into it and make a whole like video about it. But I watched them like so long ago, I can barely remember them.
So one of the things I love about conspiracy theories is when the real facts are like more believable than the conspiracy theory. Like you don't need the conspiracy theory; it's just making things more difficult to believe it.
Yeah.
Like chemtrails. People say, "Oh, when you look up at a plane and you see the chemtrails, they're dropping chemicals on your head to control you." And I'm like, "What don't they control yet? Like, why would they need to control us? Like,
You
we're
don't believe
already."
that? Have you not heard of the recent conspiracy theory, the Ohio train derailment?
I don't think you need a conspiracy for that. Our government screwed up.
Well, okay, so it was a train full of hazardous chemicals. And you know what the government did? They burned it. But to safely burn vinyl chloride, which is the chemical, you have to burn it at like a really, really high temperature, which is what they're saying not high enough. And so there was like apparently acid rain and stuff all over Ohio. The fish in the ocean or the lakes
Yeah,
all around
yeah. I
that
don't
area
know if
are
this is a
dying.
conspiracy theory or this is just true. That our government did a
This is
horrible
true.
job.
Yeah.
People are
That
getting
is
sick.
true. That
Yeah,
there's
I
there's
think
a
that I think that might just be right.
yeah, there's a couple things that sound like conspiracy theories that the the crack epidemic. Like there's a good amount of evidence that while I'm not sure I believe the government introduced crack, they definitely focused it on
Hmm.
and they did a lot to there's that there was a lot of experimentation. A lot of the if the victim of a conspiracy theory is black people in the United States, is it a conspiracy theory or is it true? Like it's kind of tough. Like there's a lot because there was there was a lot of experimentation with not hysterectomies. I can't think of the it's there was a lot of forced not birth
Vasectomies,
sterilization, forced sterilization
sterilizations. Yeah.
in the South in the 40s, 50s, maybe earlier than that,
Hmm.
of black people, so that there would be less black people. Like those things have been kind of, as far as I am
Yeah.
aware, they've been proven to be
Yeah.
correct, or
Yeah.
you know. So there is a lot there that where do we decide? Because eventually, if something conspiracy theory we've kind of taken to mean isn't true, but conspiracy theory doesn't automatically mean it just
Right.
means that there.
Conspiracies exist. There's a reason the word exists. There are conspiracies. It's
Mhm.
seeing them when the evidence points the other way. And it's like one of my favorite takedowns of the flat earth was I don't remember if it was a rapper or some celebrity, took a picture from New Jersey across the river from New York and said, "Look, from this distance, if the earth were
Bob.
curved, it was Bob. If the earth were curved, you shouldn't be able to see those buildings behind me, and you can see them all." And then Neil deGrasse Tyson is like, "You can't see the first 5 floors behind you because of the curve. Like if you look, you don't see the bottom. You're not looking straight ahead at the people walking. You see the buildings because they're tall. Like that.
Yeah,
You just like your own picture disproves your theory."
yeah,
They did that with another experiment. It was like if the earth is flat, this should be able to shoot through, like they shot something through two holes a certain amount of distance apart, and they were like it should shoot through both of them. It only shot through the first and not the second, so they disproved.
light.
Yeah.
It was
Oh, it
beaming
might have been
light
light.
It
through.
being a
Yeah,
laser, yeah, yeah.
because light won't be pulled in by or not by Earth's gravity.
Not as much,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, and so light should stay observably straight. There's not enough distance for light to start arcing under the Earth's gravity for you to have possibly notice
Yeah.
that difference. So it should be from here to the moon. There isn't enough distance probably for a human to recognize that level of curvature.
Chris,
That's how straight it should be.
and speaking of the moon and the moon landing, that you can actually shoot a laser to the moon, and the one of the moon landings left like a thing that you can hit with a laser and see it
Mhm.
in your telescope that you hit it. Which is kind of like pretty hardcore proof that we landed on the moon. Like that you can
That there
actually
is a
yourself.
moon,
Yeah.
if there is a moon,
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
unless
right.
well, that's the
the
guy.
moon's
So
just part
there
of the
is
dome. It's just an image on the dome that's moving, and
so
it's
so
really
Saba,
sophisticated.
if you really dig conspiracy theories, there's a podcast you have to listen to. It's called Be Reasonable. It's from the UK. It's a guy named Michael Marshall, and he interviews conspiracy theorists of all kinds, and he never argues with them. Like he'll say to them, "What is your response to people who say what about XYZ? But like he won't tell them they're wrong. He just wants them to say everything they can say about their conspiracy, and you get to hear all their details. And he had a guy once on who was a flat earther who believed that gravity is not real. It's just the Earth is moving really, really fast through space, flat, and you're just being pushed down by how fast Earth is moving. And he doesn't believe that stars and planets are real. They're lights in the sky. They're not real. And at one point, Marsh asked him something like, "Is there any conspiracy that you don't believe? You seem to believe every conspiracy that's come up, anywhere in conversation." And he goes, "Well, there's one I don't believe." And then Marsh laughed and said, "You don't believe in the face on the surface of Mars, right?" And the guy goes, "Right, because there's no such thing as Mars."
Yeah.
Yeah, he has great
So,
conspiracy theorists.
That's funny. Do you guys believe in aliens?
I
Yeah, I
believe
work with my wife is not from America, so
I
she had her
believe
Not
alien
those
card
kind
when I
of
met her.
aliens.
I believe that given what I know about the universe, it makes sense that there is life outside of Earth, and that if it's as vast as I understand it to be, that there is likely to be intelligent life outside of Earth.
I
Do
would
I
say,
believe that they've been here? That's a different question,
yeah, and I would say that given the enormity of time and space, there certainly probably
That's true
is,
too.
like, either was intelligent life, will be intelligent life, or is one of the other. But the odds of there being intelligent life at the same time that we're intelligent, close enough to ever reach us, that is either ridiculously small, or it's like Star Trek and Star Wars and there's life teeming everywhere, and it's ridiculous that we haven't been visited 100,000 times. Like, it's one or the other. Either life is everywhere and we should know it already, or life is so far away or so di- distant in time that we'll probably never know it. Though I would
Do
love
you
for
guys
it to
believe
happen.
in the conspiracy that we actually came from Mars and we fucked up the planet and then came to Earth and Elon is trying to bring everyone back home?
I
So,
believe Elon came from Mars.
so yeah, maybe that would make sense. I heard
Have
the
you heard
so
all the Daddy Elon jokes?
no. No, but
Really?
what I was gonna say about the Mars thing though, so Matthew and I listened to what podcast were we? Oh, we listened to a podcast, and this week on Monday, and it was I was planning. Obviously, we were planning on doing this episode before that episode came out, but um, the they were talking about conspiracy theories and specifically how they most of the time are anti-Semitic, and I don't.
Cognitive dissonance. Aaron Rabinowitz was the guest.
Yes. Yeah, but and we talked about Aaron on the podcast last week or the week before, but that was the person I said, Saba, that I would have to prep for the interview a little bit better because I'm
Oh
just used to
yeah.
having friends on the show. But yeah, he was saying that, and he mentioned the Mars. He mentioned there's two opposing theories. One is that Africans were the real people and aliens came here to improve upon
They
the
tweaked the
Earth and
genetics so that
tweak the genetics
Africans
to
became
make
white.
us and then there's the opposite, which is we're the fucked up one, us meaning white people. Not I don't know where it's all white or black in this situation. There is no option that I've heard outside of that. And then that they tweaked us to make black people better.
Yeah.
And
Well,
so like
I
when you
think
mentioned that, like that is those might be connected to the theories that I was
I
hearing
would think
about.
the conspiracies probably are that the white supremacists say that it was white people, and then all other races were created from them, and then the black conspiracy theorists say it was black people and all the races were created by them, by
Yeah.
aliens coming down. And Marvel Comics pretty much says the same thing about humans, superheroes, and mutants.
So, do you guys, Saba, I'm assuming you're going to say no to this, but Matthew, do you know who Ron Funches is?
Nope.
Yeah, I didn't think you would because
I do
he's a
not
comedian.
know it. I know the name, and as soon as you say it, I'm going to say, "Oh yes, of course I know." But
Yeah,
off the top of my head, I don't know. But I think I'm
he's a
supposed to know.
comedian. He's like a year or two older than me. He's not very old. He's been famous for maybe 10 years. He has this stand up bit where he says, he talks about how like some people don't believe in any conspiracy theories. He's like, you don't believe in any conspiracy theories? I showed you this one, right, Saba?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he goes, "That's a strong stance to take. You think that the government's just batting 1,000 and telling us everything?" He goes, "Because I'll tell you this: the government is in charge of 365 million people. I'm only in charge. I have one son, and I'm in charge of just one young man, and I lie to that N word all the time." And so I do feel like there is some, like, the idea of none of it being true is funny to me too. Like,
Yeah. I think in my head there's a difference between being lied to about a topic and a full conspiracy.
yeah,
It comes to conspiracy, in the
I feel
conspiracy
like the
theory realm of the world.
conspiracies are all the government um things, like, 9/11 and all that. But have you guys heard the conspiracy that the government coined the term conspiracy theories, so that people who start talking about stuff just sound crazy? Mind blown.
that actually,
That's nice.
it
I like
sounds
that.
kind of reasonable. Like, it's very meta, which I like, and but it sounds like I wouldn't be completely surprised by something like that either, because the government would be doing some shit like that. Like, hey, we don't have to. We can just kind of have them write off everything if we just, like, make some conspiracy theory shit, like, and make up a term and, like, make these people seem crazy, and then they'll, the real stuff will seem crazy. The fake stuff will just add to the crazy factor. So
Yeah. I just looked it up on Wikipedia, and not that we can trust Wikipedia because they're in on the conspiracy, but they say the first use was a letter to the editor to the New York Times in 1863
damn,
about how the British were weakening the U.S. by instigating the Civil War. That was his conspiracy, and that's where it got
yeah,
the conspiracy. Or he wasn't claiming that, he was trying to debunk that conspiracy theory. He called it a conspiracy theory.
yeah.
Well, was it an anonymous person? Was the person named?
The American author Charles Astor Bristed, and it
Oh,
has the quote in there. He was an American scholar and author who wrote under the pen name Carl Benson.
under the pen name.
Well, that's one of the ways he
Oh,
wrote. People had pen names. That's common. That's not a
yeah.
conspiracy.
What if
That's
he's
normal.
just someone from the government that just happens to have a pen name?
But he wrote this under his real name, though. He didn't write it under his pen name. He wrote it under his real name.
Oh,
He published some of his stuff under a pen name.
So, oh, before I think we can start wrapping things up,
We got to wrap. I hate when we wrap.
yeah, but so anyway, what I was gonna start to say was, I was just gonna leave us with one little thought, because Saba and I work in the same building as the FBI field office for North Carolina, and
Well, hello,
when she
agents who are
started,
listening.
yeah, well, especially with there's two of us on this, no, but when we started working, when Seba started working with me, I mentioned that, like, very matter of factly, like, oh yeah, the FBI's upstairs, and there was, how long was it, Seba, before you figured out that I was not lying to you?
um,
A couple days, a
it
week?
literally didn't take that long because one, I saw a car and I swear it said FBI on the license plate. It was like FBI dash whatever. And apparently, like, highway patrol cars say HWP. So I was like, oh shit, it's the FBI.
Yeah,
And then also, if you look up the maps, like on Apple Maps, if you look up FBI around Raleigh, it literally shows our office.
yeah. But it was funny because, like, there was, I don't know, 4 or 5 days into working with me, she comes in, she goes, "Oh my God, you weren't lying about the FBI." And I was like, "No." And
Why
now,
would I lie?
ever since, like, anything that happens, I'm like, "Oh, maybe it's the power flickers," and I'm like, maybe it's the FBI. Hi, everybody. This is Mike editing the podcast this week, and I just wanted to cut in here really quickly to explain something that happened since we recorded that I thought was interesting and kind of related to this. So, today at work, we had window cleaners coming in, and they were making a big noise. They were making a lot of noise, and I had explained to Saba that it was going to suck because now we would have would have birds flying into our windows all day because we have birds flying into the windows a lot during the year. But now with clean windows, we would. And Saba's response, which was excellent, was immediately she just said, "Oh yeah, that's because the birds are trying to get back to the FBI office to recharge." So when we were in Vegas, Saba was cleaning the office and doing some stuff, and she found this room. And she's like, "I found a room. It just has a chair in it." And I was
And a
like,
fridge.
and oh, you didn't say the fridge. You didn't mention the fridge when I first. So and I
Oh.
was like, "What?" I was like, "Oh, it's probably like an interrogation room or something." And she's like, "You want to see it?" And I was like, "Sure." So she brings me. And you have to in our building. You have to badge in. We have to badge in, even though we don't work for the FBI. The FBI had a
I
whole
have to
bunch of
badge
shit
into
on their
my
door.
building. I don't work with the FBI.
Oh yeah, they
Yeah.
had a lot of little security stuff up there.
Yeah, but we have to badge in. So we had to badge into this little room, and it had the vacant. It said vacant like in green, and you could like turn it on the door handle. So we badge in, open it up, and she's like, "What is this room?" It was a lactation room, and and then I tell her, and nobody believes me because
Why would they?
I'm the dude in the office. Why would I know about lactation? But
Little do
Yeah,
they
we
know.
had to hear it from all the other girls in the office before we actually believed him.
yeah,
That's a good general rule, not to believe Michael until you have collaborating evidence.
that is true. Like I said, this is going to be Michael Cole as a bad skeptic with debunker Matthew Cravat.
I'm old. I've been debunking for decades.
Well, thank you for coming on, Saba. Do you have
course.
anything that you want to tell our audience? Usually, like we would say, if you have anything you want to shout out, but
Oh yeah. Stay woke.
Sweet.
sounds good. All right, thank you for coming on. And Matthew, thank you. We'll be back. You and I will be back in like 2 minutes to record the next episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys have fun with that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and everybody,
Bye guys.
if you could just like or if you could go on our podcast app and give us a
5-star
good
rating.
5-star rating, that would be great. And just make sure you're subscribed and listening every week because we talk about crazy shit sometimes. So it's fun.
We talk
And
about the
hey,
big
everybody,
things.
I've got a new hobby. Me and my brothers are reviewing food, restaurant food we bought in grocery stores, anything that we can be goofy and make some jokes about and do quick reviews on. It's on our former hot sauce channel, so there's a lot of old videos about hot sauce. So if you go on YouTube and search for Cravat Attack, that's KREVATATTACK as one word, Cravat Attack, you'll find us, and we have a lot of old hot sauce reviews, and now we've got restaurant reviews from around the country as we vacation and travel.
And for me, I've got nothing but this podcast
Listen.
in my life. So please make sure that you're subscribed. No, I'm all my other shit. Like I'm working on a novel. I can't really shout out a novel right now,
Come by the
especially when
house and read a chapter.
I have 65 pages written. Like there's nothing we can do with that. In like 3 or 4 years, I will be able to plug that, and hopefully we'll have an audience at that point. All right.
Bad skeptic.
All right. Well, I'm ending the
Hang it up.
recording.